everybody, and welcome to Talk of the Apprentice.
Woo!
There we go, and the crowd goes mild.
This is a mini-series from Talk of the Townsends where we talk about the latest series of the UK Apprentice. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I'm Hannah Townsend, and we have just watched episode 1, and what we can say for sure is that TV is back.
TV's back, baby. I would say it never left.
It left for about 4 days after The Traitors ended, but now it's back again, and that was an absolutely phenomenal first episode.
I've always said that The Apprentice is probably the greatest comedy show on TV, and it lived up to that reputation.
I was a bit nervous for a second that it wasn't going to be good. You just never know. There's always a bit of a spin of the dice with these things. The Apprentice is something that relies solely on having good characters.
It is. It's a spin of the dice.
Is that what I said?
I like that. Hannah, if you don't know, a side note, Hannah has a thing, I guess it's to do with your dyslexia, where you'll sort of get phrases wrong, but you'll get them wrong in an interesting way. It's like when you said gambling with fire, which is one of my favourite phrases ever.
It's a spin of the dice. Is that what I said? What would you mean? I meant
A
roll of the dice or spin of the wheel.
Yes.
That's what those two were the combination of.
You're so right, though, because it's about the people you get. It's about the dynamics they have together. Sometimes it can be a little dry. Sometimes it can be very silly. If you've never watched The Apprentice before, you might think, oh, this is a show about people trying to do business. My friend, maybe in 2001 it was. Now it is purely a show about stitching up whoever is silly enough to come on this show.
I would say The Apprentice is all about the opening lines that the contestants need to say. That basically just needs to tell people, I am the most competitive person that ever lived.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to reinvent the wheel each time for just, I am the most competitive person in the world. So this year we had, I am the human equivalent of a tank.
I love that.
What does it mean?
Does that mean you're good at business? Is a tank good at business?
Is a tank competitive?
I guess, but in quite a destructive way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we used up all the I'm a strong leader back, 400 years ago when this show started.
I feel like it's not an Apprentice season if we don't have someone who says that they like to work hard and play hard.
Yes.
That you have to say it. It's like Apprentice bingo, right?
Yeah, and also on the bingo card is the fact that all the women are just inexplicably dressed in these kind of bold one-colour suits. They look like the Wiggles. They're so bright.
It just doesn't make sense, though, because people in offices aren't wearing these things. I mean, they're told what to wear. We know that,
Yes.
right? They have a wardrobe. They're told what to wear. But I will say, all right, and this might be mean, you couldn't pay me to get in some of those outfits. I'm not joking you. I would walk. I would not put on a lot of that stuff.
There was the woman this week, and look, we're not at the stage yet where we really know who anyone's name is, but the woman who was quite feisty this week, who was wearing the full green suit.
Is it Natalie?
Possibly Nadia. She looked like she was wearing a green screen suit. You could probably green screen a whole separate episode of The Apprentice onto her. It was so bright.
I really hope that's just not her wardrobe, but I'm pretty sure she's been put in that.
Oh no, now I've got a vision of her being like, I'll wear my best suit for TV and everyone will like it. This is
And
what she
she's
sounded
Elmo.
like. Yeah, and she's Elmo.
He's green.
No, he's not.
Which one's Elmo? He's red. Sorry.
He's famously red.
Who? Oh, Kermit. Sorry.
yeah.
God, what a poor reference throwback that
Here's my
was.
impression of Kermit. Hello, I'm Kermit.
I'm Kermit. That's quite good. No, listen. It's Kermit the Frog. I think that's kind of good.
I don't know.
Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy. I think that's more you're doing Miss Piggy.
I don't know who they is.
I don't know who they is.
I was once dating someone and they took me to the. I was once dating someone and they took me to the Muppets Christmas, it was like a Muppets thing, and it was genuinely one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, was it at the O2 or something?
It was at the O2 Arena, and we went to see the Muppets, and I just didn't get it.
But you're not a real Muppet head, right? You don't even know who Elmo is.
My mum's always said I've had a bit of a fear of puppets.
She's always said
And
that.
Muppets are puppet adjacent.
They are.
All right, let's start. So we were introduced to the candidates, and look, Benedict's already mentioned, we don't know any of their names, but we were introduced to a lot of people who told us that they were and are the most competitive people that you could ever meet. We then went to the boardroom where, Oh, Sugar.
Yeah, Sugar's out with the jokes. It's another cliche of this show is that Alan Sugar's got these like tortured jokes. Like part of the gag is that they are deliberately bad jokes, and then everyone has to be like ho 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 ho, like, laugh along with them. But there were some bad ones.
I'll say some people in the room weren't laughing this year. Do you think on The Apprentice, Sir Alan Sugar memorises the kind of one-liners, or is he being fed in an in-ear piece?
No, I genuinely think he is reading off cards that are about 3 feet in front of him, because it always sounds like he's saying the lines for the very first time.
Yeah, I agree. But that would make me think it's an in-ear piece. Someone's feeding him. Oh, Emma, I heard you do this. You've got a mug business. I know a few mugs. I honestly think the way he says it sometimes, I think someone is just saying it to him off camera and he's just repeating it back. Because like when he's giving the proper feedback and when he's chatting, like he is obviously very capable of like having conversation, but with the jokes, he just clearly doesn't care. Yeah, he's not trying to sell anything.
No, and for a businessman.
I think we need to talk about how in the boardroom, they were talking to the guy who owns the hair transplant business and then immediately cut to Tim.
Yeah, Tim just sitting there baldly. It was like one of the meanest edits I've ever seen in my life. He's like, yeah, I arrange hair transplants, just cut straight to Tim.
Just
He's
Tim.
just like, you can almost see Tim looking at the camera being like, why are you looking at me?
The slow zoom in on Tim.
Yeah, Tim's a bald king. There's nothing wrong with that.
I was happily surprised this year in The Apprentice, they actually switched up the girls and boys teams.
That was really out of date.
It was just an odd way. Also, I will say, for many years past, the girls always win in the first couple of episodes. They split them, divide them by gender, and most years the girls win like the first 3 episodes, and then they're low on boys, and then they mix up the teams. So it was nice to see that it wasn't just split girls and boys or men and women.
Yeah, definitely. Have they ever had like a non-binary person on The Apprentice?
I guess not.
Yeah, I guess non-binary people are like, I've got too much common sense to come on this show. So it's just never been an issue when they do this down the middle thing. But it's nice to see them just do some mixed teams. Like, they, in the year of our Lord 2025, they were like, what if we didn't do this way anymore? But then, where were they going, Hannah?
Innsbruck.
Yeah.
Austria.
Yeah, down under. Heim of the dingo. And we're going to Austria.
We are, straight to the source.
Pretty soon.
We're shooting on location.
We were actually picking up some great tips for when we go. We're going to do the bike tour.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the Dolomites.
Yeah, they're all around. I can't wait to buy honey. Where else could I buy honey?
So the teams are now in Austria, and in classic Apprentice style, they need to pick a team leader.
Yes.
To which the one group says none of them have ever been on any sort of tour.
Yeah, it's not just I've never led a tour. No. They were all like, I've never been on a tour. I'm not 100% sure what the word tour means.
It is the smartest thing to do. Like, we have seen for years and years and years, the team leader of the losing team, episode 1, would always get fired. Obviously, they've tried to change that up in recent years, but do understand, I would not put myself forward.
No, it's like famously a poison chalice. It's really unfair as well, because I think even last year they did it where the one person who steps up to lead the team loses, they just send the team leader home. There's like no ifs or buts about it. We should say, by the way, like Hannah and I genuinely have been watching The Apprentice for years. Yeah. I think it was like one of the first things we did like as a couple regularly.
Yeah, I've been watching it since it's... What's that smart word that's like since it's insertion? Inception.
Yeah.
I've been watching it since
Hannah's been watching it since Leonardo DiCaprio placed it inside her head as a dream.
I have been watching it since its inception. I love The Apprentice. And yeah, I know the rules of the game. You don't put your hand up to be team leader. Although... the other team, 2 people fighting over it. And it was a very classic situation where one of them's like, I think I'd be good. And then the other one comes along and is like, well, I've actually done this and I've done this. And it's a bit of a like, stop, they're already dead. It's like, I actually have a qualification. I actually did. I guess in all fairness, I wouldn't have thought anyone else was going to put their hands up. So she didn't really sell herself. She just said, I would like to be team leader. I think I'd be good at leading the team.
Yeah.
And the other girl was like, as a bit of a rebut, came in with all her points of why she would be much better.
Yeah.
So you were kind of left like, who would you vote for? The girl who's really qualified for this, or the girl who just fancies giving it a go?
And then they always do the mean thing they always do, which is like a show of hands.
Should we do a vote?
And they do a mean show of hands when no one votes. I think we'll be going with Emily or whatever the name is. Can I ask you now, you had the choice. Are you doing bike tour? Or are you doing snow? as both a punter and as a apprentice person?
I'd be leaning towards snow because I think more people would travel to Austria to go to the snow.
Yeah.
But then why would you pay 175 euros for them to take you where you're already going?
Yeah.
I'm a bit stuck. Would I want to hug a tree? No.
Yeah.
Would I want to yodel with someone who's not qualified, who learned it yesterday? No. I don't know. I don't think either appeal to me that much.
I am consistently amazed that they find anyone to buy these extremely expensive packages that they do on this show. Like, I'm always convinced that, like, they're not really paying. Because I know they have, like, refunds. But, like, do you think any money actually ever changes hands?
I think so.
Who are these Austrian suckers who are paying 200 euros to hug a tree?
I think so.
No offense, I guess.
Or you have to have maybe the showing that you would pay. So maybe you cut a deal, you go on the tour, at the very end you're refunded or something. After you've been on the tour and said whether you would like a refund or not, maybe they just refund everyone as part of it. So, the BBC don't need 50 quid from me.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the BBC just funds it and it's all a bit like in name only.
But I guess they have to have the intent that you would pay that. Otherwise,
Yes.
everyone would go on a free bike tour and be on the telly.
Exactly.
So we also saw one of the teams appoint a sub-team leader, the guy who would not stop talking.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, I feel like a few of them were trying to muffle their laughs.
Yeah.
When he was like, it's all about selling. He must have been Yellow Team's sub-team leader.
Yeah, Yellow Team was the team that, spoiler alert, did really bad, right?
Yellow Team sold 6 tickets.
Yes.
There was more people on the sub-team than actually went on the tour or something.
Yes.
Which is just insane.
Let's get this right. So it was bikes and honey, and then it was snow and schnapps. Although I feel like we didn't see a lot of the schnapps. They mostly focused on the snow stuff.
Yeah.
I guess because it was more important that they sold the honey because they basically started the challenge in debt.
In a huge loss.
I always think, you're a random person in the middle of Innsbruck. 6 or 7 or 8 random English people walk up to you. One of them starts aggressively trying to sell you on something. And what's so funny to me is that there's like 6 other of them just staring at you.
stood
Because the rest of
there.
them just stand next to the person, just like...
Looking awkward.
Just looking awkward. I'm like, the pressure must be awful.
Yeah, and also, if you're a local, you're not going to want to go on a tour for 200 euros. And if you're there visiting, the chances are... One, in Innsbruck, you're probably stopping over to go to the slopes or something. I'm not alleviating how terribly they did in any way, shape or form. But I will say, I do actually think that might be quite a tough job.
Definitely. Although I will say, someone who was making it tougher was Carlo, I want to say, who I think was the sub-team leader. He was the one who was just aggressively trying to sell to everyone. Until literally at one point, was it Dean said to him, like, we have to actually pick who we're selling to. Like, we can't be selling to old people. This is an electric bike tour. We can't be selling to old people. It immediately cuts to him walking up to 2 old men. And he goes, this is my father. He's 97 years old.
And he shook his hand and he was like, well done.
Well done.
Or was it Dean or was it Kia? Is it Kia?
Yeah,
One
Kia.
of them was like, no, as he went up to. That was one of the funniest bits.
The fact that he was 97 is so funny. That's one.
He's not just old. He's like so old. And he's like, do you want to get on an electric bike? He's like, no.
He's like, no, I think that would kill my father. It is early days. We don't know their names. One name I will say that has gone in my head is Kia Shave.
Kia Shave.
As names go, that is a wild one.
Do we know what Kia Shave does?
If it isn't shaving related, he needs to get home out of this process. He doesn't understand business.
Let's talk about Kia Shave's negotiation skills. So we first had him, I guess, semi-flirting with the girls, saying that he himself would be yodeling.
Yeah.
Wild. As if that would sway anyone. But maybe she thought, I'll get to spend time with him if that's what that was.
That's what I thought. Maybe she thought, kind of a handsome guy.
Yeah.
I think, did she agree to 100 euros?
She agreed to 100 euros.
Wow.
He then, old Kia Shave, went very loudly round the bar and did a rock, paper, scissors with someone.
Yeah, he was about 10 feet away from her.
It was 50 or 70 euros, right? And
Yeah,
he said
if
that...
Kia Shave won, the guy would pay 70.
Exactly. Kia Shave obviously lost.
He lost so immediately.
And it was 50 euros, which was under the price of the tickets. As
Yes.
in they were then making a loss.
And was also literally half what he just sold that woman who was in earshot, who then came over and said, sorry, I've just seen you sell the exact same thing to this guy for 50 euros.
And then he was like, your ticket will still be 100. Yeah. And she was like, no.
Yeah, she was like, is anything going to change? She's like, yours will still be 100.
Yours will, but I will be yodeling.
I will be yodeling.
And I will be flirting. Yeah. I'm not actually on that team, but I will be yodeling.
I will be yodeling. I love him. Like, it's such an obvious business opportunity. Her being like, what am I going to pay? And he's like, you will pay the same. Yeah. And then one of the other teammates had to be like, no, obviously you have to make it the same for her. She was going to walk away. Oh my God.
The Snow team's negotiation when trying to get the price of the tour down was so funny. They sent the guy in who knew some German. It was a bit like a German oral exam, wasn't it? It was like, hello, I live here. And where do you live?
The fact that she immediately replied in English was such a big dog move. He was like, ich habe in London. She was like, yes, I live over there. she was just not having it.
None of it. Terrible negotiation from them. There's a lot of back and forth. It gets so awkward when you're squabbling over a pound.
But also, didn't they literally say, let's butter her up a bit? And then one of them just went, what do you want to pay? Which also, don't ask them what they want to pay. You've got to come in with something.
Well, that's actually one of the notes that I had written down is they were asking customers would you be okay to pay 75? You've got to, if this is the deal of the century, right? I'm getting a ticket that's worth 200 euros for 70 euros. You shouldn't be asking me if I'm okay to pay that because obviously I'm going to say, no, I'd prefer to pay less.
Yeah.
So it's such an odd negotiation that we saw throughout.
That question never works. Would you be okay with paying this? Because I always want to pay nothing. Yeah. I never want to pay anything.
Exactly.
If you say, would you want to pay £1? I'll go, what if I paid no pounds? Exactly. You should just go, the price is this, or I'll do you a special price or something.
The special price final offer would be 70 euros. That's the lowest I can go. It's we're barely breaking even with that. What do you think? We would love to have you on the tour. Not Jeff. Would you?
What do you want to pay? Because literally was she the leader of the bike team, Anicia or something? But she was the one who literally was like, look, the price is 200, wink, wink. But actually, then you can bargain down to minimum 100. That's smart. And then all they did was walk around for 6 hours going, it's 200, take it or leave it. What?
Yeah, she said in her strategy, which you actually don't often see with a team leader, that they're happy to drop the price.
Yeah.
Some of them sometimes say it's 200 and we don't go unless it's the very end. But she didn't say that. She said from the offset, you can drop that price. Yeah. We need to sell tickets.
Which was smart. They just absolutely didn't do it. It's like you said just now, you just reminded me, I love that I don't know if you can even call it a technique, but the thing they're obsessed with on The Apprentice is someone going would you do 65? And they'll go, 70. And they'll go, 64. Yeah. And it's always just trying to whittle a pound here and there. And it's who cares? It doesn't make a difference.
It does make a difference. Sometimes they are a few pounds away and it's every dollar counts.
I know every pound counts, but they're always just that they walk away and they've got one more pound and they're like, yeah, I'm a bit of a negotiator. Because they'll come in and go, would you pay 100? And the person will go, I'll pay 10. And he goes, what about 11? Deal. And it's yeah, I'm something of a negotiator. It's
I think the Apprentice casting team needs to give a raise to whoever cast Natalie, was it? Green suit. I'm a closer.
Oh, yeah. Well, didn't they open with I'm as mad as a box of frogs?
As mad as a box of frogs. She was sent there to ruffle some feathers. You could see that team weren't enjoying her company at all, but it made for some great TV.
Here's the thing. She was maybe a little abrasive. I think she was basically always right. She was the one who kept saying it's too expensive. That's why people aren't buying it. And I think that was true.
Yeah, but if you're talking to someone and someone butts in, shakes their hand and then says, I closed the deal.
That is annoying.
That would drive me nuts. That's too much.
No,
but
that is annoying.
But I do agree that she understood that price was too high from the get-go. And she was correct in that scenario, but I think she's going to be fantastic TV.
I hope she goes far.
Let's talk about the honey negotiation.
Yeah, speaking of expert negotiation, what was his little plan in the cab?
Is it the guy with the strikingly green eyes?
Possibly, yeah. Who I think did quite a good deal earlier on in the episode.
So he said to Emma, he said, you come in at the code word, right?
Yeah, bitter.
Bitter. And then I'll go, oh no, the acting.
So funny.
You couldn't pay to write something like that. It was so bad, but somehow it worked.
It wasn't good, but he had a strategy, which is he went in and went, would you do 80% commission? And the B guy was like, my God, 9.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
I'm going to be paying you.
Yeah.
To, like at this point, I'm not making any money.
He was like, what in the name of bees are you talking about?
This queen bee is having sex with 8 bees and we're getting nothing back.
And then he was like, okay, what about 70? What about 60? And then he was like, bitter. And then did the most like obvious look to Emma. And she was like, what about 50? And what did he go? He went, oh no.
Oh no, well she said it now.
Oh no, she said it now. Well, now she said it. But it bloomin' worked.
It bloomin' worked.
Well, he got him down to 48, 52 or whatever, but it worked.
They did much better than the other team who landed on a 20% commission. So we have to take our hats off that 48, 52 or whatever it was pretty impressive.
Bitter.
Bitter. Oh no, well she said it now. We can't go back on that.
She said it now. Bitter means pleased, doesn't it, in German?
Bitter.
So then they secured the honey. Then they needed to learn about bees.
Mm-hmm.
What age were you when you learned? We've all heard of the birds and the bees, but this was just the bees. Though there was that one real killjoy guy who was just like, I think we need to learn stuff that's relevant to the tour.
He was the same one who butted in earlier, and he was like,
sub-team leader.
We really need to think about what the customer wants. We've got to bring it back to the customer. It's like he's read a business textbook that was like, customers number 1. The customer is always right. Think about what your customer wants.
Customers don't like bee sex.
Yeah. I mean, he had a point though. Like, why were they asking?
Yeah.
And then they delivered that. Flash forward a little bit. They delivered that and got it all wrong anyway.
And also, even if you get it right, it's delivering all this weird bee sex information to this bewildered room of Austrian people who were just like, okay.
I love the kind of Essexy guy being like, ooh, likes e-bikes.
E-bikes, 3 for £1. Ooh, likes e-bikes.
Where we see that The Apprentice is genuinely just like a joke TV show is when they were in suits on skis. Did you notice that they were wearing a tie, a shirt, tie and blazer up a mountain, literally with boots and skis? I was like, this is crazy.
That is so funny. The commitment to the bit is so brilliant.
How's it every time they do a tour in The Apprentice that the guests ask the simplest of questions they don't know?
I know, because they must give them some information. They can't just completely stitch them up. But we literally saw them being like, let's not learn too many facts.
It's all about the fun.
Both teams did that, but I love that. They get them up the mountains and they're like, the Dolomites are visible. Of course, someone asks, where are the Dolomites? And they're like, I don't know. Over there, maybe.
What did he say?
We wrote it down. Have you got the exact quote?
We aren't sure where the Dolomites are, but wherever you look, it's mountains.
And he said it like a celebration. He was like, wherever you look, it's mountains.
Can we name the episode this?
Yes.
Wherever you look, it's mountains.
It kind of reminds me of enough champagne to fill the Nile. Wherever you look, it's mountains. Not wherever you look, there's mountains.
Do you know what?
It's mountains.
It's a good save, because if I was caught in something like that and someone asked me where the Dolomites are, one, I might take a stab at pointing at something, say, I'm not sure, but I think it's them. I don't think I'd just say, wherever you look, it's mountains.
But it's not wrong. It's a good save.
So the tours went ahead. We had some yodeling. We didn't see much of the bike side of things. That was clearly not good TV that they cut out.
Yeah.
The bike, I mean, that guy said he was old Kia.
Yeah, Kia Shave.
He was like, I'm good entertainment. I'm fun.
Yeah.
And we did see a bit of him. And then they just made them hug trees.
Hug trees. They did the yodeling. Apparently, the lady was good at yodeling. Kia apparently was bad at yodeling. I'll be honest, they all sounded pretty bad at yodeling, but, maybe I'm not the expert.
And then the other team just went to that site where the Dolomites were, didn't see the Dolomites, and then just basically got some little plastic things to go down a mountain on. I mean, I don't think you needed to pay 175 euros to do that.
No, we actually saw a lot less of the snow team, I think, because I think the bike tour team was such a disaster that they got pretty much all the screen time.
Well, I will say we saw some parts of the snow. That girl who didn't know Robbie Williams' Angels. Why start singing it if you don't know the song?
Yeah, first of all, why start singing it?
Why start singing it? She didn't know the lyrics to Robbie Williams' Angels, which I would say is one of the most iconic, well-known songs. I mean, fair enough, not everyone knows every song, but crazy to begin a song.
Yeah, but if you're British, you're basically born knowing that song.
If I didn't know like an AC/DC song, I wouldn't start singing it. I don't know any AC/DC songs.
And if you were, I guess, where would you be singing that? The Alphabet Factory?
Yeah, exactly. Should we talk about 120 euros for 6 photos?
120 euros for 6 photos. And then immediately after that, they did a deal where they said, you can buy this one photo,
15
euros.
Who in this day and age?
Unless in the photo, I'm literally in a splash zone or going down some kind of roller coaster drop. And even then, I'm not paying 15 euros.
Do you think at Disneyland these days?
Disneyland.
Do you think at Disneyland these days, if you get a photo from a ride, it's 15 euros? I don't know. We never get them.
In a lot of those theme parks now, you know, because everyone just takes pictures of the pictures with their phones. Like a lot of them have like technology where you can't take the pictures anymore, or they put giant watermarks over the screens. I think they are probably still expensive. I don't know who's buying them.
Who is buying them?
Disneyland.
Although you see the people who go down with like the chessboards and stuff.
What's that? Oh, what? And then pose on the ride.
And then pose on the ride.
That's a throwback, by the way, to an earlier episode of our podcast where we went to Disneyland Paris. And if you get the train to Disneyland Paris, the automated voice, when it's announcing the station, it goes, Disneyland. And it's so fun to say. 120 euros for how many?
For 6 photos. Do that math. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. It's less. 2, 4,
is
6,
it 30?
8. Wait, is it 80 or 18?
Why can't we do this math?
3, 6, 9, 10.
I'm going insane.
Wait, bear with me.
No, you're saying too many numbers. I can't do the math.
No, please. 30 euros. It's just over. It's £22 a picky.
I just don't think that's right.
I have no idea.
I just don't think that's right.
I'm prepared to bet money on that.
You've got the iPad.
No.
Do it. 20.
Of course it's 20. It's 22. Give or take.
It's 22. We're as bad as the people on these teams. Well, they sold the rip-off photos, they sold the honey, they sold the schnapps, and then it was time to go back to the boardroom.
I want to give some props to the BBC, the BBC. In that they didn't try and make it seem like it was going to be really close in the way that we...
Could they even have?
I know, but like yellow team starting on a loss. And then, did the yellow team have the really high commission? Yes. Yellow team had the very high commission, but look, it was never going to save them to not sell full tickets and for most of them to be under the price of the tour they were paying. Like
absolutely insane.
They were never going to win, and they didn't try and make us think that it was going to go that way.
I'm glad of that too. There wasn't too much trickery there.
So yellow team lost, obviously.
One team very handily wins. We're expecting that team to get a prize, as is standard in The Apprentice. I've set up a hot air balloon experience for you or whatever.
Back in the day of The Apprentice, when a team would win a challenge, the prize of the challenge was like such a huge part of the episode.
Yeah.
We would like watch them go on like crazy trips. A hot air balloon, they would be like go round a racing track with like a number 1 Formula 1 driver.
Yeah.
This year, you get to go back to the house and see it, and a glass of bubbly's waiting for you.
Yeah, you get to go to the house anyway. That's not a prize.
It's not a prize. I bet you it's just sparkling wine as well on this budget. What is the prize?
It just goes to show the tough economic times we're in. That like good news, you get to sleep indoors tonight.
Yeah, you get to see the place that you'll be living.
You can have the heating on for an hour.
Where's the prize? What's the point of winning if there's no prize?
I will say though, in previous years, some of those prizes have been dismal. I would pay to get out of some of those prizes.
Some of them are usually like in some sort of wetsuit. I would say in recent years, the prizes have actually turned into more
punishments.
Absolutely. It's in a wetsuit. There's always something where they have to get in some sort of bathing suit and look a little bit uncomfortable with people that they have like literally met an hour ago.
Yeah, it's always like put on your wetsuits. It's time to do indoor Monopoly.
Yeah. Or do you know the one they always do?
What's that?
That sad little indoor thing that blows the air.
Oh, the indoor skydiving. Yeah.
So sad. And they just kind of sadly spin you round.
Yeah.
No part of me has ever wanted to do that. And the guy that is in there with you, who's in all your pickies. No,
that's the thing. Like, I think in order to be able to go in there independently, you have to have like loads of experience and training. So if you're going your first time, you got like 3 people holding your legs and everything. You're barely in there.
Who did you think was going to get fired?
1,000%, I thought it was going to be the sub-team leader, Carlo.
Carlo?
Because he seemed to be the one who was, I would say, mostly at fault.
Yes, or Kia, because
Yeah.
you can't be gambling. I mean, what Lord Sugar said was, it was reckless, it was silly.
I mean, he seemed genuinely disappointed, Alan Sugar. He was like selling tickets for below cost, gambling, amateur. He was like, just like, damn, you suck.
We also saw Kia promise he would yodel to a girl when he wasn't on that team. Like, it was disruptive. Like,
It was just annoying,
I
yeah.
think he's great. He was also making a lot of faces.
Yeah.
Well, at what point of the episode? Do you remember it was like, oh, it was when he revealed he needed to be on the other team. It was very childish, his faces.
Yeah, he was throwing a bit of a strop, wasn't he?
He was throwing a bit of a strop. I think he had the grounds 100% to be fired. It was childish. It was immature. It wasn't smart, anything he did. I'm very surprised.
I guess because he actually sold something.
Yeah.
Not much, but because he sold something, he had an argument.
What's not fair in The Apprentice is not everyone is an amazing salesperson.
Yeah.
Like, the whole premise of the show can't be just like, I can sell tickets to someone on the street for a strange Austrian tour that's not very good. Like, Emma didn't deserve to go. She should have stuck up for herself a little bit more. But you could just say, selling is not my strong suit, but I have an incredible business. I'm an incredible business person. Like, you can still be an amazing business person, but not be great at like door-to-door sales. I don't think it was fair she went.
Well, you've exposed the dark secret of The Apprentice, which is that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I mean, you know, we do all these challenges and at the end they're like, all right, let's just look at your business plan and go with the most viable one. It's like, well, what's the point of all the challenges? But yeah, I agree. I mean, in a way, I liked that they went for a different approach of like, I fired her because she didn't stand up for herself enough or sell herself enough. Because I like that as a bit of a twist rather than sometimes it's a bit by the numbers of like, you didn't sell enough, therefore you're out. I like that he had like a philosophical reason for firing.
But do you think that was his philosophical reason and his actual reasoning was the other two guys are better TV?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I've been told by the producers because unfortunately Kia and the guy who was a bit...
Carlo
was a bit reckless, the other sub-team leader, were fantastic watchers.
Yeah. Alan was probably like, I keep calling him Alan, I don't know. Sugar was probably like, well, you know, obviously these guys are the worst. And the producers were like, well, we do want to point out that this man played rock, paper, scissors, and this man walked up to a 97-year-old and asked him if he wanted to go on an e-bike. So we are going to have to keep them in the show.
It didn't feel fair that Emma went. Poor Emma, we didn't see enough of her.
No, I was shocked. She was shocked. I don't think she saw that coming.
Yeah, 100%.
They didn't do a really, really, really teased out firing this episode. You know, sometimes he takes like 5 minutes to say you're fired.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was the fake out. I thought it was, you know, Emma... And when it was going, you're fired, I was like, no way. He didn't even do one single fake out this episode. I mean, he gave all the reasoning for the 3 and then Emma's on the chopping block, she's gone.
And there we go. That's our first firing. It's so funny, as with all these shows, I said this with Traitors, of like, right now, these are just strangers to us. We don't know their names, but in a few weeks, we'll know some of their names.
They will be maybe our best friends.
Yeah, there'll be characters that we're into. I mean, we should talk about it. The preview for next week's episode
phenomenal.
Looks so funny.
Alan Sugar's done a Lorraine Kelly and he's not bothered turning up.
I mean, that's a frequent theme. Like last series, if he can turn up as an animation, if he can do a phone call or a voice note, he will do anything rather than turn up. It's very funny.
At this point, they're just repurposing the previous ones. We've seen him as like some sort of animated character so many times now.
He might be one of the most animated people in history. Like, the sheer amount of times he's been animated in different ways.
They're making a pop star, is that right?
Yeah, they're making a virtual pop star.
Stunning.
Sure. Yeah, that's business.
That's business.
We'll be covering that on the next episode, which might be a day or two late, but it will be out. So make sure to follow the show. That's probably the best way to find new episodes. Wouldn't you say, Han?
I'd say wherever you look, it's mountains.